Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're aiming to get you right up to speed on someone truly foundational, a figure whose choices basically echoed down through millennia. We're diving into the life of Abraham, the one called the father of faith across Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Our mission, to really pull out the core insights about his life, his obedience, what faith even was for him, and how it changed, almost everything.
It's quite a story. And the sources we have approach it with, a real depth, looking at the history, but also the spiritual meaning. It's pretty amazing when you think about it. One person decides to listen to this voice, and it sets off a chain reaction that's still shaping the world, unifying billions in a way.
Okay, let's get into it then. To really grasp the journey, you have to see where he started. The story kicks off in Mesopotamia, and our sources are clear. This wasn't some primitive outpost.
Not at all. It was a major ancient city. We're talking culture, established wealth, idols, yes, but also comfort. Stability.
That's such a key point. He wasn't some desperate guy looking for a handout. He was probably pretty comfortable, part of a complex society.
Exactly. Which makes leaving.
Yeah.
But it meant giving up a lot. Your whole social structure, economic security, your family history tied to that place.
Right. And that context just makes the command that comes next feel so jarring. It wasn't a polite request, was it?
No, it was blunt.
Yeah.
Leave your country, your family, and your father's house. Total upheaval. And go where?
Yeah, go. Somewhere. To the land I will show you. That's it.
Talk about stepping out into the unknown. It was, like you said earlier, a blank check.
Yeah.
No destination on the map. Just this immediate call for total trust. And the incredible thing is he does it. He actually goes.
He lives it all behind. The known world, basically, for a promise.
Which really sets the stage for everything else, doesn't it?
Yeah.
This isn't just about moving house. It's about surrendering your own logic, your plans, and walking forward based purely on, faith in something unseen.
And the promise itself was huge. Descendants like the stars, becoming a great nation, and that somehow, through him, all nations would be blessed. It's global, it's generational, and it all hinges on him just trusting that initial call.
That kind of leap, based just on a voice, it leads us right to the next big piece, the covenant, this sacred bond.
Right, the covenant. Now, in the ancient world, covenants weren't casual things, were they? What did this one actually involve?
No, definitely not casual. Think solemn oaths, serious commitments, almost like treaties between a king and a vassal, that sort of thing. It was very much a two-way street.
Okay, so what was promised on each side?
Well, from the divine side, it was concrete stuff. Land, specific territory, descendants, loads of them, and protection, divine safeguarding.
And Abraham's side, what did he have to bring to the table?
His part was about, absolute loyalty, faithfulness, sticking with this one God, trusting him completely, no matter the cost, as the sources put it, even when things got tough.
And they did get tough. The sources really emphasize this next part, that faith isn't real until it's tested. And this wasn't a quick test. This was waiting.
Decades of waiting. We often just skip over that, but Abraham and Sarah, they got old, really old. Years, maybe 25 years passed, and the main promise, a child, was biologically impossible.
That waiting period is so important, isn't it? It wasn't just passive waiting. It must have been agonizing.
Absolutely. Imagine holding on to a promise for that long when everything you see around you, your own body, is telling you it's impossible. It changes the nature of faith from just obeying an initial command to enduring belief.
Yeah.
Real perseverance.
And the sources show the strain, don't they? Those moments of, let's say, human initiative, like with Hagar, trying to help the promise along because maybe God forgot.
Right. It highlights the doubt, the struggle. He'd already given up his home. Now he had to give up his own timeline, his own control over how the promise would happen. It had to be on God's terms, God's timing.
That period really deepens his character, I think. Transforms his faith.
Definitely. And then finally, when they're past all reasonable hope, the miracle. Isaac is born. The child of the promise. It seems like, okay, now everything's settled, the wait is over.
You'd think so. They made it through the long haul.
They did. But the story saves the biggest, most confronting test for last, Mount Moriah.
Ah, yes. Part 3, the absolute peak of the drama. Can you describe that command? Because it seems to contradict everything that came before. Sacrifice the promised son.
It's staggering. God tells Abraham, take Isaac, your only son, the one you love, and offer him as a sacrifice. I mean, Isaac was the promise made flesh. Demanding his death seems to just pull the rug out from under the whole plan.
Yeah.
It defies logic, emotion, any human understanding of divine goodness.
It's deeply disturbing, especially for us today. How do the sources frame this? Why demand something so horrific? Is it just arbitrary power?
The interpretation in the sources is that this was the ultimate test. Could faith conquer even the deepest human love and fear? It wasn't apparently about God wanting the death. It was about Abraham's willingness to surrender absolutely everything back to God, even the miracle child, even the promise itself.
So the act of obedience was the point, not the outcome.
That seems to be the core idea. Abraham had to trust that somehow, even if Isaac died, God's promise of descendants still had to come true, which implies, an incredible faith. Maybe even in resurrection or some other way God would provide.
That's a profound level of trust, and he goes through with it, right up to the last second.
He does. He walks up the mountain ready to do it. Then the command is stopped. A ram is provided instead. And the sources frame it as this huge moment. Faith wins. Fear loses. It's a declaration that true devotion means trusting God even when nothing makes sense. It's about constant surrender.
Okay, so we have this incredible life story, leaving comfort, waiting decades, facing the ultimate test. But what's the bigger picture? Why does this one-man story resonate so widely? Billions connect to him.
That's the remarkable legacy, isn't it? His story becomes this kind of foundational pillar for 3 major world religions, all tracing back to this shared idea of one God, monotheism.
Let's break that down a bit. How does each tradition connect to him, starting with Judaism?
For Judaism, Abraham is, he's patriarch number 1, the father figure. His covenant with God essentially establishes the Jewish people. The promise of land, of nationhood, it all starts there. He's the root.
Okay, and for Christians, it's often framed in terms of faith versus law, right? What does that mean?
Yeah, exactly. In Christianity, Abraham is seen as the prime example of being made right with God righteous through faith, not by perfectly following a set of laws.
Yeah.
Because his act of faith happened before the law of Moses was given.
I see. So his belief, his trust itself was counted as righteousness.
Precisely. He's the model for justification by faith. Believing comes first.
Got it. And finally, Islam. How is he seen there?
In Islam, he's Ibrahim, a hugely important prophet. He embodies Islam itself, which means submission, surrender to God's will. His willingness to sacrifice his son Ishmael in the Islamic tradition is seen as the ultimate act of that submission. The perfect monotheist, completely devoted.
It really is fascinating how this one narrative serves as such a crucial touchstone for so many, even with the differing details. So let's try and distill this. What are the core lessons, the takeaways from Abraham's story that still speak to us today?
Yeah, these feel quite universal, I think. Hard-won wisdom about trust and purpose.
Okay, lesson 1 seems to go right back to the start. Leaving trust, without proof. The idea that real faith starts where sight ends.
It's easy to trust what's tangible, but committing to something you can't see based only on a promise, that's transformative. It begins where the visible ends.
And thinking about Moriah, maybe lesson 2, the path of obedience. That acting on that trust, even when it's hard, builds a kind of spiritual strength.
That's a good way to put it. Obedience isn't just rule following. It's the path to divine strength. Each hard step prepares you for the next one, builds resilience.
Lesson 3 feels related to his constant movement, walking the unknown. Seems the sources suggest you don't find deep truth by staying comfortable. You have to venture out.
Right. Into the wilderness, literal or metaphorical. Great souls have to navigate the unknown to really find what's real. Comfort zones don't usually lead to breakthroughs.
Then the really tough one, lesson 4, again from Moriah, sacrifice and love, that idea that surrender, giving up what you value most, somehow clarifies what love really means.
Yeah, it's paradoxical. Sacrifice is the language of love. When you're asked to release your grip on what you cherish or rely on, it reveals the depth of your commitment. It forces you beyond self-reliance.
Lesson 5 points to the long view, generational faith. His personal trust didn't just affect him, it created this ripple effect through history.
Absolutely. A spiritual legacy shaping millennia. Makes you think, doesn't it? Our choices about belief and action now, they echo forward.
And finally, lesson 6, timeless promises. Even with all the delays, the waiting for Isaac, the promise held. It might take a lifetime, but divine truth doesn't fail.
That's the message. The path can be incredibly long, full of what feel like setbacks. But the core promise, once given, endures.
Wow. It's quite a journey to reflect on. Abraham's story really does feel like a mirror for anyone seeking something more, really. That call to leave the of our own lives, our routines, our assumptions, and step towards a purpose that isn't fully clear yet.